No, zoomed in too far. Hey guys! So this week I'm going to be talking about a bit of a classic. Like, these set of movies were probably one of the most iconic set of movies from the early 2000s to the 2010s. I am going to be ranking the Twilight Saga. Now, I was a bit too young for these movies when they first came out in 2008, where I was only 5 years old. So tragic vampire romance wasn't necessarily on my mind at the time. But even then, I didn't watch these movies until I was about 16 because I genuinely thought I was cool for having not seen them, because these movies were fucking referenced in every TV show that I watched as a kid. It's like, oh, Edward versus Jacob, and I'm like, I haven't seen these movies, I have no idea what's going on. Then one fateful day, they got added to Netflix and I had nothing else better to do, so I decided I'd watch all of them. And ever since then, I fell in love with these movies. Now, I know these movies are bad, but like, they're bad in a good way. Like, I will defend these movies in court, okay? Like, these movies bring me so much joy in the autumn and winter time. It really makes the seasonal depression better, okay? So leave me and the Twihards of the world alone, okay? So let's get straight into it, shall we? Starting off with the first movie in the saga, Twilight. This movie is blue. Like, the blue tint is so fucking intense. I guess that's what they were going for, to make this movie look cold. Much like the vampires' cold, dead skin. The soundtrack of these movies goes so fucking hard. Like, whenever I hear any of the songs on this soundtrack, it makes me feel like I'm like wrapped up in a blanket, warm and cozy on a rainy day. Charlie Swan is one of the best characters in the franchise. He's such a lovable cop dad and he deserves to be protected at all costs. Like, when I say ACAB, I don't mean Charlie Swan. He must be protected. I just want to say I hate, double hate, loathe entirely Taylor Lautner's wig in this movie. It looks so bad. It doesn't look good on him. Like, I don't understand how people were Team Jacob when he looked like that at the start of this whole thing. I love to quote these movies. It just brings me so much joy. Because some of the lines in these movies are just fucking ridiculous. Like, for example, "This is the skin of a killer, Bella." It's even funnier when the people I'm with haven't seen it and they just look at me like I'm fucking insane. I also just really want one of those unhinged Twilight shirts. I just find them so funny. I just need one in my life. Speaking of shirts, what the fuck is Bella's first day of school outfit? Like, it's not a look, it's not a serve. What is this? Like, everyone else's outfits look somewhat normal. This is just... no. There's some characters in this franchise that are just not likable in the slightest, particularly Bella's friends, but special attention to Jessica Stanley. Like, she just gets worse as the movies progress. Like, she isn't too bad in this movie, but I just can't stand her still. She just gives me the ick. Speaking of icks, Edward smelling Bella for the first time will never not be fucking funny to me, but I would never recover if I walked into a room and someone had that reaction. The acting in these movies are just so fucking funny. Like, they just don't act like normal people. Like, the way Bella shakes the ketchup bottle in the diner to like get it out, just the way she talks, the way she acts. I just love making fun of her. Like, just, what was the direction? Because Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, they're great actors, both of them, but what was the direction that they were given? I need to know. Like, no hate to either of them, it's just the direction, whatever direction they were given in these movies were just fucking terrible. Like the scene where it's revealed that Edward Cullen is a vampire. It's so iconic, but the writing is terrible. It shouldn't be as funny as it is. There's so many great characters in these movies though, especially the Cullens. Like, there's the Dilf that is Carlisle. There's my favourite Cullen, which is Alice. She's just so sweet, and honestly, she's just me. She's my everything. But they're all great. Like, Emmett is really funny, Rosalie is a little bit of a bitch, but until the third movie, but we love her anyways, and Esme is the mother that we all need in our lives. And Jasper looks like he's just in pain the whole time. As much as I love Edward Cullen and Robert Pattinson. The relationship between Edward and Bella is so fucking toxic. Like, the gaslighting fucking sends me. Like, you don't want a relationship like these two. Like, it's so bad. Like, the only good thing is the fact that Edward wrote Bella's lullaby for her in the books, which is like the main theme of Twilight. Like, if you think of Twilight, it's probably the track that you're thinking of right now. But it's just so bad. Speaking of things that go so fucking hard, the baseball scene. I'm just gonna wait. I think someone's at the door. I think the baseball scene is one of the most iconic scenes in cinematic history. Just the way it's shot, the music, just everything. If real baseball was exactly like that, I would be a huge fan. Watching this movie is always fun. Like, I love spotting the mistakes throughout the movies that make no fucking sense. Like, at the start of the movie, we see a truck being driven by seemingly no one. Later on in the movie, we see Billy Black driving a car even though he's in a wheelchair and can't walk. Like, there's always something to find on rewatch. I love the ending of this movie. I love the prom scene. It's just, it looks so beautiful when they're dancing under the gazebo with all the lights. And like, even the song that's playing, it's so good. Now, I don't usually go back to this movie because it's not my favourite, but it is really good when you're in the mood for it. So, what am I going to rank it? I think this movie is pretty middle of the road, so I'm just going to put it in the mid tier. Now on to the next in the saga with 2009's Twilight New Moon. I remember very little from this movie. When I first watched this series of movies, I found this one so boring. It was too long. It was definitely my least favourite. It just wasn't for me. This movie opens with one of the final scenes of the movie before it cuts back to the very start. It looks really cool. It's set in Italy. Like, there's a festival going on. Everyone's dressed in red. Bella's just running through the crowd, and the bells and the clock tower are ringing really slowly. It's just so ominous. I love it. I find with this movie, the first half hour and last half hour are really good, but everything in the middle is just kind of whatever, which is really unfortunate because I feel like if the middle part was as good as the first and last half an hour, it would have been great, but it's just not. Basically, this whole movie is Bella just hating the fact that she's aging and getting older, and she doesn't want to celebrate her birthday, and she just wants to be a vampire like the Cullens. It's okay, Bella. I too fear getting old. Charlie is genuinely the best dad. I love how he was messing with Bella when he woke her up on her birthday and after he gave her her present. He's like, is that a grey hair? And Bella fucking freaks because she's just terrified of getting old, and his like little smile after Bella realizes it's a joke. It's just so funny. He's such a good dad. One thing about this movie though, Bella's fashion sense is slightly better. Emphasis on the word slightly. Speaking of things like that, Taylor Lautner's wig is still here and it looks awful. Every wig in this movie looks awful, especially Taylor's and Esme's. That, like, no. Whose idea was this? This is the movie where the whole Edward versus Jacob thing starts, with Bella spending more time with Jacob, Jacob doing nice things for her, like giving her a little dream catcher. It's a really sweet gesture. I have a dream catcher, but it looks nothing like that. It's big, feathery and pink, and I genuinely think they work because I haven't had a nightmare since I got it. I'm too lazy to take it down from behind me, so sorry. We see more of the Cullen siblings in this movie. We see more of Alice, which I love because she's just me. We are the same person. I wish I could see the future like she can. Jasper actually speaks in this movie and he doesn't seem to be in as much pain. Emmett is being Emmett and Rosalie is slightly less cold in this movie. The introduction of the Volturi is really cool. We see that even vampires have their own laws and that the Volturi are to be feared. With each of their powers, like imagine someone being able to see every thought you ever had just by touching your hand. Yeah. Imagine someone looking at you and them just saying pain and you collapse to the floor in excruciating pain. I'll respectfully pass. On the bright side, this movie has its fair share of funny moments. For example, at Bella's birthday party at the Cullens' house. Firstly, we see bad wigs, which is always amusing. Secondly, we see Edward being Emmett. Since Bella is technically... no.
Eventually.
Since Bella is now technically older than Edward, Emmett turns to Edward and says, dating an older woman now. That's hot. And just seeing how unamused Edward is will always make me giggle. Not only that, when Bella gets a paper cut when she's opening her presents from the Cullens, since there's blood, Jasper goes fucking feral. Now, Edward wants to protect Bella, but he did this by taking Bella and chucking her across the room into a glass table, which shatters, slices her arm, and nearly sets the whole fucking family off. Good job, Edward. Another thing about this movie, Carlisle seems to have sexual tension with everyone in this movie except his wife. When he's stitching up Bella's arm, sexual tension. Whenever he's talking to Charlie, sexual tension. It's a bit of a fucking joke, but I do love Carlisle and Charlie shippers. I just love how unhinged the edits are. It's just fucking great. I love the Twilight fandom sometimes. Honestly, a lot of the shit that happens in this franchise could have been avoided if Edward just changed Bella at the very beginning like she wanted. But whatever. It makes too much sense. There would be no story if he did that, but whatever. A lot of this unnecessary shit could have been avoided, okay? Once again, the Twilight movies bless us with the iconic soundtrack with all certified bangers. Personally, I think my favourites would be Possibility and Rosalind. It's just such awesome soundtracks. I love them. The breakup scene between Bella and Edward should not be as funny as it is. The line delivery is terrible, which naturally makes it fucking hilarious to me. Maybe if the line delivery was better in this movie, it would be a bit more effective, but unfortunately that is not the case for me. This scene does make some people cry, however. I'm coming. Bella. I don't want you to come. Okay, but if Robert Pattinson broke up with me and told me that I would never see him again, and it would be like I never knew him, I too would go into a giant fucking depression. So Bella got that right. If I ever met Robert Pattinson, it would be a very awkward encounter. I'd be so starstruck. I wouldn't even be able to speak. I'd probably just pass out. Oh god, if you knew all the stuff I'm saying about it, oh Jesus Christ. The whole depression scene and the way it was shot with Bella looking out the window and the camera moving around her with the seasons changing, I feel like that perfectly encapsulates how the year 2020 went for a lot of people. I have such a weird relationship with that year. I love and I hate it. Jessica is such a bitch in this movie. Like, she is the worst friend ever. Like, there's this one example of what she says that really sticks with me. When her and Bella, after coming out from seeing the movie and they're just walking down the street, Jessica says, I get that you're depressed and I'm totally worried for you, but after a while it's like, you know. What a cow. I just want to say, Bella is some dumb bitch for getting on the back of that random dude's motorcycle just so she could see the ghost of Edward Cullen. Like, dude, how damn bad are you? This is also the movie where we get blessed with that iconic line, Bella, where the hell have you been, Loca? That which has inspired so many unhinged shirts that I absolutely need in my life right now. The aggressive blue tint isn't in this movie. Instead, we get a nice yellow tint. It's not that aggressive though. Like, I'm not talking Portable Mexico Breaking Bad Mexico sequences type yellow, which is way too aggressive. Like, I know a lot of Breaking Bad fans that I'm friends with right now. I'm sorry guys, if you guys are watching this, that yellow tint is awful. It is the worst thing I've ever seen. I will put a picture for those who haven't seen. It's awful. Like, no. Anyways, I guess the yellow tint is to represent the warmth that Jacob is bringing, since it's all about him and not so much about Edward and the vampires, which are cold. Filmmaking. One thing I don't understand is how the fuck Bella has all these guys fighting over her. Like, she is about as interesting as watching paint dry. Like, I need to know what the appeal is. Like, yeah, she's pretty, but like, besides that, what is there? What else is there, you know? I sound like such a bitch right now. You guys know what I mean though. Jacob finally loses the wig at the end of this movie. Thank God, because it was such a fucking eyesore. I'm so happy they got rid of it. And Taylor Lautner was so fucking happy to get rid of it. I just know for a fact. I love spotting mistakes in this movie like I do with the first movie. Like, there's this one scene I always think about when someone mentions mistakes in Twilight. There's a scene where Bella is thinking about her and Edward lying in that flower field, and it's like shot from overhead. Her foot is just missing. Her foot is fucking gone. It's nowhere to be found. Like, what? I wish I could lie in a field of wildflowers like that though. My hay fever would cripple me though, and I know that for a fact if I even tried. I will give credit where it's due for these movies though. Despite there being mistakes, the CGI for the wolves is pretty fucking good. It's pretty fucking good for its time. And those who know these movies know there is awful CGI coming up, so we'll take what we can get. Jacob is such a dick in this movie towards the end though. Like, when Edward calls Bella's house and Jacob is like, yeah, Charlie's planning a funeral. Didn't even let Bella speak to Edward or anything. Didn't tell Edward that Bella was alive. So, like, he was so wrong for that. This causes Bella to jet off to Italy with Alice to stop Edward from unaliving himself because he thinks Bella is dead. Red flag. The whole Italy sequence is so good. The robes, the tension, the clock, just everything. Not to mention Alice says, I figured you wouldn't be opposed to Grand Theft Auto. Alice is just the best character, hands down. Now, I don't run, but best believe I would run as fast as Bella, if not faster, in this situation. I'll deal with the consequences of my asthma later. They even managed to sneak an elevator music sequence thing into this movie. This movie really has everything. I hate Jane from the Volturi, but I love her. I think she's so cool, but she's such a bitch. It's so weird to think that this girl is also Coraline. This is definitely my least favourite in the entire series. Like I said, the first and last half hour are great, but the rest is just fucking boring. So I am just going to place it in the ick tier. Next up is a favourite of mine. We have Eclipse. Now, the opening for this movie is so different. Like, it opens and we're faced with a character we've never met before, and it just doesn't seem like a Twilight movie. But whatever, I'm indifferent about it. After that, we return to the familiar flower field with all the wildflowers that we all know and love. I said it before and I'll say it again. It's just so beautiful and I love it. However, what's not beautiful in this movie are Edward's sideburns. Like, what the fuck are those? Charlie is still an absolute sweetheart in this movie. I just find it so funny how much he fucking hates Edward. Which, to be fair, I think is valid because he gave her nightmares for months, sent her into a spiraling depression, and she ran away twice, and one of those was to Italy and the other one she ended up in the fucking hospital. And all this happened in the space of a year. Yep. I also don't like how Edward is constantly trying to change Bella's mind about becoming a vampire. Like, just the way he tries to manipulate her. Like, Bella and Edward go to Florida to visit Bella's mother. Edward goes with her knowing she'll realise she will never see her again once she's a vampire. Low blow, Edward, you're an asshole. It's so fucking toxic. The quilt that Bella's mom gives her as a graduation present is the sweetest thing ever. I want to do that with my kids or something similar. It's just so fucking cute. I just want to say, I know Edward and Bella's relationship is toxic as fuck. Like, you should not under any circumstances want a relationship like this in any way, shape or form. It's very bad and will be detrimental to your mental health. Just putting that out there. Anyways, back to Sparkly Vampire movie.
One debt to society later.
We do see a little bit of extreme blue tint in this movie, and it's actually very nostalgic. It's such a sleigh. I feel so dumb because it genuinely took me ages to realise that they actually recast Victoria. Like, I genuinely think if it wasn't pointed out to me, I wouldn't have fucking noticed. Even though I watched these movies, like, before I realised I watched those movies like 4 times. Especially Eclipse. But oh well. This is also the movie where we get introduced to the idea of imprinting. It's a wolf thing that Jacob explains, and basically you see this person, they're the one, and you know instantly. And this will become very important in the next 2 movies. For those who know. For those who don't, you're gonna find out, and God help your souls. There's some real Edward versus Jacob shit in this movie. Like, this is the movie for that, I think. Writing in this is still kind of terrible because we get quotes like, "Stop! I'm tired of this. From now on I'm Switzerland, okay?" It's weird to think this movie made me cry when I was going through shit when I was 16. Seth Clearwater is such a dote. He's played by Boo Boo Stewart, and it's so hard for me to believe that he played Jay in the Descendants franchise like 5 years later. Like, my brain just can't. I love the whole sequence with the history of the wolves and their tribe. Like, I think I read somewhere, or I heard someone say that Bella was actually meant to play the wife in that, like, sequence flashback thing. But then they decided that it would make sense for, like, an indigenous person to do it. And I think that was a good call because, I don't know, I don't think that would bode well. Also, not a fan how Jacob just kisses Bella like that. Consent, Jacob, my dude. It's important. It really made my heart ache at age 16 when Jacob said he would fight for Bella. He did deserve to be punched in the face for kissing her like that though. Charlie's reaction to being told what the fuck happened will never not make me giggle. It's like, in his head, Charlie's like, I shouldn't be proud, but at the same time I am. And like, he was also really shocked that Jacob would do such a thing, so. I love that we get a glimpse of the other Cullens' backstories in this movie. Like, Rosalie's backstory is so fucking sad, and you kind of understand why she doesn't want Bella to turn. Basically, Rosalie's backstory is that she wanted to get married, have kids, she was in love with the ideal of love. One night, she left her friend's house late and she was walking home and she came across her fiance Royce and his friends. They were all drunk and Rosalie tried to leave, but then they beat her and gang raped her and just left her in the street to die. Caroline found her because he smelled all the blood and he turned her. Yeah, it's really sad. But don't worry, once Rosie became immortal, she got her revenge, saving Royce for last. She showed up to his, wherever he was, in a wedding dress and killed him. And she says, I was a little theatrical back then. Like, yes! Fucking slay. I love Rosalie so much. On a lighter note, we get to see Charlie be a very proud dad at Bella's graduation, and we actually hear a pretty good fucking speech from Jessica. Surprisingly enough, she's not entirely awful in this movie, but she's still a bit of a stuck-up bitch. There's a wolf and vampire team up in this movie. To be fair, If they didn't, the whole fucking town would have been slaughtered. So whatever. The CGI for the wolves is still pretty good for the fucking time too. And we get an epic training montage in this movie, so instantly great movie. I don't know how Kristen Stewart kept a straight face while filming this scene, because it was Taylor Lautner in like a green suit, and I would have been on the floor laughing my ass off if I had to do this with someone I knew. I would be the worst actress ever because I'm so fucking unserious most of the time. We don't only see Rosalie's backstory in this movie, we get to see Jasper's backstory too. Mr. Battle Scars himself. He was a major in the Civil War. He came across 3 women out in the desert. The one named Maria turned him because she was building an army of newborn vampires to gain territory. Jasper was her second in command. He trained them in combat, and it was his job to dispose of them after the first year because Maria wouldn't let them live that long. Due to Jasper's ability to control emotions, he felt everything that they felt when he was killing them, and he thought what he and Maria had was love. Too bad he was a Confederate though. Yeah, I think I had you guys going there. Just there. He was a major for the Confederate Army. Take that little detail out, it's a cool backstory. I really wish they told us Alice's backstory in the movies. Like, hers is really sad. It might be my favourite next to Rosalie's. While Alice was still human, she had a vision of her mother being murdered. Her father didn't believe her and had her locked up in an asylum for this, despite the vision actually coming true. She was changed into a vampire by someone who works in the asylum to help her get away from James, who was tracking her because he caught her faint scent. Like, wow. Anyway, back to the movie itself. I love the bracelet that Edward gave to Bella as a graduation present. It's just so pretty. And also his proposal to her was really sweet as well. Like, damn, Edward got moves. I love the score for this movie, especially the track that plays where Jacob's carrying Bella up to the campsite to avoid Victoria. Like, yes. Like, it's this point from the movie onwards that I become really obsessed with this movie. Honestly, the scene where Bella is extremely cold in the tent, I feel so fucking bad for her. I'd hate to be that fucking cold. I feel like that's exactly how my boyfriend feels whenever I'm cold, because I turn into such a gremlin and not in a fun way. Like, especially when Edward's like, what can I do? Like, genuinely not knowing what the fuck he can do to make it better. My boyfriend's exactly the same. The whole interaction between Edward and Jacob inside the tent while Bella is asleep is something else. They were almost getting along. Edward was raging because Jacob had to keep Bella warm with his body heat. I don't think any boyfriend, vampire, werewolf, or human, will be too happy with another guy keeping their girl warm. This movie looks so fucking pretty with the snow in the forest and everything. I cried so many times at the scene where Jacob finds out that Bella is marrying Edward and Bella asks him to kiss her. The music that plays while that is happening, and just how everything looks, and the way Jacob says that should have been our first kiss, had me I fucking flatlined at age 16. I was bawling. I was going through some shit, okay? Don't judge me. Why am I talking with my hand today? Also, no wonder Bella was fucking cold. She was wearing a plaid top, a tank top, and jeans. And there's snow on the ground. What are you doing? The fight between the Cullens and the newborns is so cool. I genuinely think it's choreographed really well. I love watching it every time, and I love watching the scene where Edward and Victoria are fighting too. It's great. Bree deserved so much better. She was too young to be killed. I would have loved to seen her as a Cullen. Like, she did not deserve to die. I love how Bella used the same tactic as the wife in the wolf story to distract Victoria, just like how the wife did in the thing. It was like, yes bitch. It's like, my wording of that was so poor. I'm so sorry. Poor Jacob got his heart shattered and all the bones on his right hand side of his body shattered. Hard luck, buddy. But in all seriousness, that day was just not his fucking day. Okay, but I cannot imagine not giving a flying fuck about your wedding. The venue, the guests, the cake, even the dress, like, no, I'm not letting anyone else handle that. It's my wedding. I'm choosing this shit, okay? Thanks. Forget it. I could never. Bella, you're so brave. I love how Bella called telling her father she was getting married super dangerous. I'm like, I felt that. I'm not excited to tell my parents about that if and when that ever happens. I will say though, it's such an ugly engagement ring. It's far too big. I hate it so much. I know there's some millennial out there with that ring though. If you like it, good for you, but it's just not for me, okay? Don't shame me for that. Okay, so where are we putting Eclipse? I think I'm putting it in the S tier. Coming towards the end of this iconic saga, we have Breaking Dawn Part 1. Okay, when I watched this movie, I don't think it was the same version of what I have on DVD. This one opens with the Volturi getting word that Bella is getting married, and they're giving out that this is Bella's way of staying human for a bit longer, and she's mocking them. All this is happening with a pile of corpses next to them, by the way. Cheery as always. I don't remember this being on the DVD version, so whatever version this was, it had deleted scenes, so always appreciated. But yeah, the normal openings for this movie is Jacob throwing a tantrum in the rain and running off into the woods because he found out Edward and Bella are getting married. Like, get a grip, Jacob. You were told in the last movie that they were getting married, which led Bella kissing you to calm you down. Get over it, dude. We also see Charlie's reaction, which is actually concerned, and we see Renee, who is just really happy for her daughter. We see Alice planning the wedding. She really is me, especially when she tells her siblings to put the whatever it is they were carrying on either side of the aisle, and they're like, where? And she's like, does no one have vision? Like, it's me. She's just one of the best characters in this whole franchise. Just because Edward and Bella are getting married does not mean the toxicity stops. What is it this time? I hear you guys saying, well, Edward thought it was a good idea to wait till the night before their wedding to tell Bella that he was a vigilante vampire that killed murderers and rapists, and decided to wait till the night before the wedding. He did this in hopes Bella would change her mind about being a vampire, by the way. Edward, buddy, let it go. I'll never understand why people in America tend to have their bachelor and bachelorette parties the night before their wedding. That's so anxiety inducing to me. Like, it's a terrible idea. Like, think about how tired you would be and how hungover you'd be. Like, I don't know about anyone else, but I'd actually want to enjoy my wedding day. Like, I was hungover once and it ruined my whole fucking day. I genuinely rarely drink anymore because of it. Anxiety plus emetophobia is not a good mix at all. One cool thing that happens in this movie is that Bella actually has a nightmare the night before her wedding, after Edward tells her about the vigilante shit. Long story short, she walks up to the aisle and turns to Edward, and then when she turns back she's faced with the Volturi and they're standing on all the corpses of their friends and family. Yeah. I love Bella's dress in the nightmare though, same with her hair, but I think the real version of her wedding dress and hair just suits her better. We also see Charlie in a suit in this movie, so naturally that makes this whole movie better. The comb that Bella has for her something blue is so stunning. I love those kind of traditions when it comes to weddings. Even though I don't know what the meaning of it is, I still love it. Speaking of things that are gorgeous, I love the venue for the wedding. Like, I know it's just the Cullen's back garden, but just the way it's decorated, it's so stunning. Alice did such a good job. My hate for Jessica returns in this movie. Like, she just assumes Bella is pregnant because she's getting married. Like, she literally says, like, alright, who else get married at 18? As well as the shit she talks about the wedding cake. She's just like, I just thought it'd be bigger. And then when Alice and Jasper come over, she's like, oh yeah, we were just saying about how pretty everything is. Like, honestly, it would be on sight if I heard anyone talking about me or my friends like that at a wedding. I will cause a scene. Once again, the acting in these movies, like, Bella, this is your wedding day. You're meant to be happy. You could at least try look like you're happy. Like, she looks like she was about to throw up as she was walking up the aisle. Like, however, she does look absolutely stunning in that wedding dress. Honestly, I think I'd do such a good job if I was Alice and planning a whole wedding. I don't know what it was about this movie, but this time when I watched it, I actually teared up when they were saying their vows. Like, I don't know what was wrong with me that day. I was just such a wreck. The soundtrack for this one is a banger as well. It gives me secondhand embarrassment when they kiss after they say I do. Like, they are fully making out in front of their friends and family. Like, please stop. How can people be like that though? I'll never understand. Speaking of things being so awkward, the speeches. For example, Emmett says, Bella, I hope you got enough sleep for the past 18 years because you won't be getting any more for a while. Which we know is a vampire joke, but to everyone else, that's a yikes. And Charlie threatening Edward with a gun, joking, but not really. There's Jessica being a little pick-me bitch, which, by the way, if anyone did that to me at my wedding, it would be on site. And then there is Renee singing a lullaby. I couldn't, it's too much. I'm so bad for secondhand embarrassment. Like, I was genuinely recoiling at this. I just couldn't do it. Anyways, Jacob does show up to the wedding and he does dance with Bella and it's really cute. Like, despite everything, it's nice that they are still friends. I'd love to be able to dance with my guy friends like that, but we just do not have that kind of relationship. It's just kind of all bullying. Jacob had no right to grab Bella the way he did though. Like, if anyone did that to me, they are getting punched. I am not kidding. Another thing I hate that's constantly shown in movies is the bride and groom leaving for their honeymoon during the reception. Like, I'm sorry, I paid for all this. Best believe I am milking the shit out of every single second of it. Like, I'm not leaving. That's such a waste of money. That being said, the house that they go to for their honeymoon is absolutely amazing. I really want to go to it. Like, it's a real place, you can rent it, and it's definitely on my bucket list. I love how Bella was scared to go skinny dipping with Edward. Like, girl, that's your husband and there's no one else on this island. Like, take your own advice and don't be a coward. Since they are married, we got to see a sex scene and Edward broke the bed. But seriously, the state of the room the next morning, the poor cleaners, you genuinely cannot pay me enough. Edward is scared to have sex with Bella from here on out of this movie because the next morning Bella was covered in bruises because Edward's vampire strength, which leads to Bella constantly trying to seduce Edward, and it's just really cringy and stupid and really funny. Like, girl, please stop. Jacob is still rats because of Bella's choice, and he's shit talking imprinting and how they don't belong to themselves anymore. Blah 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 blah. Get over it, Jacob. Calm down. We also get a really icky scene where Bella cooks chicken and eats it, and the chicken wasn't cooked properly on the inside. It was like really red and like she throws up. Like, this is every person with chicken anxiety's nightmare. Like, the way she cooked it too, it wasn't cut up into small pieces, which makes it easier to cook through and less likely for it to be red. Like, watching her cook was giving me anxiety. Like, who let her cook? Do you guys have chicken anxiety, or are you guys normal? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, it turns out Bella throwing up, also realizing her period is 2 weeks late, leads her to discovering she's pregnant with Edward's baby, which shouldn't be possible, but it is. I love the way Bella checks her stomach after she realizes she's late. Like, every girl I know has done that. Yeah, SD card being full, woo! Every girl I know has done that at least once when they were late. Just girl things. Because of all this is happening, Rosalie and Bella actually become really good friends and they both want to keep the baby. There's a lot of talk of abortion and stuff in this movie. Like, whenever it says the word fetus or says it's not good for Bella, Rosalie comes in and it's like, say the word, Alice. Baby, it's just a little baby. Like, these themes come from Stephanie Meyer's relationship with her church, with themes like temptation, morality, and eternal life, that kind of stuff. The makeup on Bella when she's pregnant looks fucking incredible. Like, she genuinely looks so unwell. Like, she only looks weaker and weaker as the movie goes on. Like, it genuinely gets hard for me to watch towards the end of this movie because of like how sick she looks. When Jacob finds out about this pregnancy, he runs to the pack, and obviously none of them take this very well. So much so they actually plan to kill Bella and the baby. While all this is happening, we actually see Jacob's point of view, and we actually hear the wolf telepathy, which is actually really interesting, but like at the same time, oh no. But yeah, Jacob isn't happy with the pack's decision, so he left the pack and warned the Cullens about the pack's plan. Seth and Leah also join him. Seth is so cute, he's so happy just to be with Jacob, and he just genuinely wants to do the right thing. Leah just wants to get away from Sam, and I really feel for her, especially when she says, being unwanted isn't new for me. Like, ow, my feelings. In this version of the movie, there's this really funny scene between Rosalie and Jacob. Basically, Jacob comes back to the Cullens' house to see Bella. Esme tells Rosalie to go get Jacob something to eat from the kitchen, and he's like, no, I don't want anything with her spitting it. Esme's like, don't worry, she won't embarrass me like that. So Rose goes to get him something. She makes him a sandwich and puts it in a massive metal bowl and puts it in front of him and calls him a dog or a mongrel or something. Jacob eats it and Rose walks away. As she's walking away, Jacob takes the bowl and just fucks it out of her head. I think it's just the way that it's shot makes it very funny. This movie really gets hard for me to watch towards the end because of how sick Bella looks. Like the scene where Rose is helping Bella get into the bath, it genuinely scares me. Like, I can't watch it. It's the same in the scene where Bella has to drink blood to stop the baby's cravings. It's disgusting. I'm like, no. And then the blood's all over her teeth when she's done. It's like, bleh. When it comes to that scene, I love the look on Jasper's face when Caroline says he has a supply of O negative blood and he's letting Bella drink it. Jasper's just like, are you fucking kidding me? All those years that I was in pain and craving, you had fucking blood in the house. But yeah, no, after she drinks it, it's all over her teeth. It's like, bleh. I actually need to stop. I can't do blood, or teeth for that matter. It's not a fear of mine. Also, there comes a point where Edward's actually able to read the baby's mind, and that whole scene is so cute. Bella is so toxic with the baby names. Like, imagine wanting to name your kid after your husband or partner and the person who lost out to your husband or girlfriend or husband or wife or whatever. Like, so toxic. What the fuck? Like, I know my boyfriend would not like that in the slightest. As for the girl's name, Renesmee, what the fuck is that? I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry. Like, what the fuck is that? I'm sorry. I just know there's a kid out there with uber millennial parents and they decide to name their kid that, and I pity that poor child. This time around I couldn't watch the delivery scene. It was just too hard for me. There was just too much blood and Bella looked too scary the time that I watched this, so no thanks. Jacob imprints in this movie too. He fucking imprints on Ragatoni. The first time I watched this movie, I was so shook. I genuinely cannot imagine waiting for a year for part 2 of this movie. Like, it ends with Bella opening her eyes as a vamp after her transformation. Like, what? So where am I placing this movie on the list? I don't think it's an S tier candidate, but I am gonna place it in the yes tier. We're on to our final installment of the saga with Breaking Dawn Part 2. It starts off so strong with the music for the opening credits, like it's this huge orchestra thing, and then it like transitions into Bella's lullaby. Like, wow. And then we see Bella waking up from her morphine-induced coma after her transformation. We see how vampires see things. It's just so fucking cool. Bella spends the first part of this movie discovering what it's like to be a vampire, which is pretty good. I really wish I was as fast as them. Although, when we see their point of view when they're running, we get very dodgy green screen. Kristen Stewart looks absolutely stunning in this movie. Like, I don't know what it is, but this is Bella's peak. Bella is a bit of a Mary Sue in this movie. Like, while she's out hunting with Edward, she smells a human a couple miles away because they're rock climbing and they cut their knee. Bella fucking goes for him and then she's like, no, I need to get out of here. And she manages to get away from it. Despite the Cullens nearly killing her multiple fucking times throughout these movies. Like, I don't like Mary Sue's. We do get Edward being like, let me help you, and then she just jumps off the fucking cliff and he's just like, or not. I find that bit so funny. I don't know what it is, I just find it really funny. I wish the dodgy green screen was the end of it, but when we meet Renesmee again and she's there throughout the whole movie, she has a very weird CGI face for like the vast majority of the movie. Like, I think we got the lesser of two evils here because it was either that or they used an animatronic. The animatronic is so fucking terrifying that they literally nicknamed it Chuck Esme. I am not kidding. So they settled for the creepy CGI face. Fun fact, they have Chuck Esme in the Twilight Museum experience thing, which makes it even, and you know what makes it even more terrifying? The thing is beginning to melt. Yeah, I need to see Chuck Esme before she melts. I cannot make this up. This movie blesses us with probably the most quoted lines ever out of this saga. When I watched this scene this time, I was giggling the whole time. I don't know how I kept a straight face the first time I watched this movie. The scene where Jacob tells Bella that he imprinted on Renesmee. The writing is so funny even though it's just not meant to be. Okay, I don't know where the Cullens are getting all this money, but I want to be gifted a whole ass house for my birthday. Like, it's such a nice house. I want it. I just want a place to live that isn't my parents' house. Alice is so cute in that scene though. Like, I would do the exact same thing. Like, if my friend got turned into a vampire and it was their birthday and I'm like, well, we're celebrating anyway, so suck it up. You get the long-awaited vampire sex scene in this movie. I love how they used fireworks to demonstrate what's going on. I felt like I was playing The Sims after watching it, I won't lie to you. Emmett is so funny after they come back. He's like, wow, done already? Break a lot of shit? Didn't say shit. Emmett is my spirit animal. I don't see why they thought they had to tell Charlie that Bella is dead. Like, could they not have just been like, yeah, Bella's better now, we're all good? Like, would that not be simpler and less damaging to Charlie and everyone else? Instead of just telling him that she's dead and they're leaving. Like, no. So, to stop them from leaving, Jacob goes and tells Charlie that Bella's better, but in order to do that she had to change. Charlie was like, huh, and then Jacob turned into a wolf in front of Charlie. Charlie definitely thought Jacob was on drugs when he started stripping just so he could change into the wolf without ripping his clothes. We also get to see how much effort vampires go to blend in with us. Like, hold your breath to help with the thirst, move slowly, blink at least 3 times a minute, move your shoulders so it looks like you're breathing, and slouch. I would not be able, I'd suck at it. I'd forget half the things that I need to do. Of course something had to go tits up in this movie because it wouldn't be interesting otherwise. Irina from the last movie goes to the Volturi reporting a Cullens of a crime they didn't commit, and now they're all under a death sentence. Fucking Snitch. The immortal child sequence ending will never not be funny to me. Like, it's a harrowing sequence of them explaining that immortal children are frozen at the age that they're turned at, and how a single tantrum can kill an entire village of humans, and how they all had to be destroyed because they couldn't keep their secret, and how Irina's mother actually made an immortal child. While all this is being explained, we see the Volturi stepping in and killing Irina's mother, and at the end they have to kill the child too, which is just Jane yeeting a child into the fire. Like, she just tosses it. I'm not joking, that's literally what it is. It's just so unserious. I love it so much. So their plan is to gather witnesses to testify. Alice and Jasper just bail and we don't see them until the 3rd act of the movie. Okay, I guess. We meet so many new vampires from all over the world. There's even Irish vampires. Who fucking knew it? And to make it better, they use actual traditional Irish names for them too. Good representation, but no one actually says their names because I feel like they definitely didn't know how. As it turns out, Bella has vampire powers too. She has a rare power. She's a shield. So Kate helps her train to project her shield onto others too. She electrocuted Edward to give her motivation. It doesn't work, so Kate's like, you lack incentive. Should I go see if Renesmee's awake? Like, too fucking far. Renesmee has like no lines in this movie. But, like, when she asked, did Alice and Jasper run away because we're going to die, actually tugged on my heartstrings. Speaking of tugging on heartstrings, imagine writing a note to your child in case you die. Like, no thank you. As well as that, she gives Renesmee a locket with a picture of her and Edward in it. Like, help, I'm feeling. On a lighter note though, Edward is a DILF and Charlie is seeing Sue clear water and he's happy. It's so sweet. I also get to see what the other vampires got up to since they turned in a pre-battle bonfire where they tell war stories. We get a little bit of Irish lore where one of the vampires fought in the 11 Years' War and someone says, but you lost the 11 Years' War, and he goes, yeah, but it was one hell of a rebellion. No one does the rebellion like the Irish, especially if it's against the British. Fun fact, the county that I'm from, County Cork, is actually nicknamed the Rebel County because we don't know how to fucking stop. The whole last part of the movie is amazing. I'm going to warn for spoilers right now just in case you actually want to watch Breaking Dawn Part 2 and witness it for yourself. You have been warned because I had no idea what was going to happen and I'm so happy it wasn't spoiled for me. I just want to say though, Garrett is such an underrated character. He's such a simp for Kate and it's so cute. Like, he literally says, if we live through this, I'll follow you anywhere, woman. Is the bar just on the floor for women nowadays? I think so. The Volturi Vengeance outfits are such a slay. The one thing I will never be able to take seriously is Arrow in the scene where he meets Rambunctious for the first time. His laugh just takes me out of it. It's so goofy. At least the snitch that got them into the situation got what was coming to her. Irina gets murked by the Volturi for false allegations against the Cullens. I'll never understand when Alice and Jasper came forward to give evidence that rollerblades isn't a threat, that they just slapped Jasper for no reason. I remember watching the sequence for the first time and being absolutely shook, and because they broke us with all the deaths. Like, with Carlisle, there was actual screams in the movie theatre, apparently. I mean, rightfully so. Seth dies, which is so sad because he's only a kid. Leah dies to save Esme, and Jasper fucking dies. I'll never understand how Rainbow stayed on Jacob's back when they were getting hunted down by the vampire, but by that member of the Volturi when they were running through the woods. It just makes no sense in my head. Honestly, a really satisfying death to me is Jane. It was Jane who got Jasper killed, and if I got a chance to do what Alice did, if some bitch killed my boyfriend, best believe I would. Alice literally fed Jane to the wolves. Such a slay. Edward and Bella managed to kill Arrow, and that's when it's revealed that the whole battle was actually just one of Alice's visions that she showed to Arrow if he chooses to try to kill Renesmee. I flatlined the first time I saw this. I was so relieved that they were all still alive, and after that Arrow was just like, nah chief, there's no danger here. I don't want to die. We're good. And it's a happy ending after all, with a beautiful version of Bella's lullaby. It all ends with the iconic flower field in full bloom. I want to die in this field. I love the little projection that Bella shows Edward with her gift. It's so cute. It's like a little montage of the last 5 movies, which, by the way, all took place in under 2 years. This whole series took place in 2 years. That's fucking bizarre to me. I love the credits. It did Endgame before Endgame. It's just such a nice watch. You see all the main characters and it's just like, ah. I think it's safe to say that this movie belongs in the S tier. I am not fighting. It's the only correct place. So let's take a look at the tier list, shall we? So there we have it. This was a really fun saga to watch over the last few weeks, and since it's October now, it just feels so right. It's literally foggy outside right now. I'm living my best life. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up. to let the algorithm know that I'm doing a good thing. If you're new here and you like my vibe, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified for the next time I decide to grace the internet with my presence again. I will see you guys really soon. Bye! You imprinted on my daughter! Wasn't my choice. She's a baby! It's not like that. You think Edward would let me live if it wasn't? Still debating it. I held her once. One time, Jacob! Now already you think you have some moronic wolfie claim on her? She's mine! I'm having too much fun. I'm so tired. Oh no, my camera's dying. Ah!